So, do miracle recoveries from fatigue-related conditions exist? We've all read the testimonials or seen the stories of people that found the miracle answer. So, are these stories real? So, the short answer to the question is yes, miracle recovery stories do exist. The longer answer, though, is they're not common. They can seem common because there are certain products, certain interventions where those are the stories that are used in the marketing. And that gives the impression that that's what's happening for everyone that does that thing. But the reality is fatigue-related conditions are complex. There are different stages of recovery. There are different systems that are affected. There are different subtypes going on for different people. And when I was on my own recovery journey, the thing that I was looking for initially was the answer. Like, what's the answer to recover from fatigue? And then what I came to realize is there's not one answer, there are many answers. There are different answers for different stages of recovery. There are different answers for different bodily systems. There are different answers that address different subtypes in different people. And I think it's typically very unhelpful when these kind of miracle stories are put out as though they represent everyone on the recovery journey. Because firstly, they don't. But secondly, the impact is, and certainly the experience that I had was, I started to feel like I was the only one that these miracle answers wasn't working for. One of the challenges can also be when we have these sort of miracle stories is even in those stories, are those recoveries actually sustained? Because over the years, we've worked with a number of people that thought they had miracle recovery stories. Things had got really good really quickly, but they hadn't been built on a stable foundation. And then things had come crashing back down again. As a practitioner, I like boring recoveries. That may sound strange, but I like recoveries that happen gradually over time. That they're built on stable, solid foundations. Like, we can see what intervention's helping in what way. We can see the benefit, the progress from that piece, and then we add another piece in and we can see how that's helped. In fact, definitely check out our case study video series that we're developing here on the Optimum Health Clinic YouTube channel for some examples of this. These boring recoveries, they're stable. They're built with real foundations that also, when someone gets back to the point of full health, they're much less likely to have a relapse or to have a crash because we've understood what needed to be in place for that recovery to happen. Now, sometimes in these sort of miracle stories, what there are is pieces of a jigsaw. Sometimes people have a piece of the truth, then that piece is getting marketed as the whole truth. So sometimes we can still learn helpful things from those sort of miracle stories. We just want to be really careful of the claims. I think when we have any organization which is claiming they're having 95% or 100% success rates, it is entirely appropriate to be suspicious. Here at the Optimum Health Clinic, we've been working with complex fatigue-related conditions for over 20 years. We've worked with over 10,000 patients around the world. We have at any one time around 1,000 active patients in the clinic. And you'll notice in all of the materials that we put out a measured perspective. Yes, we share recovery stories. In fact, we've intentionally not shared some of our more dramatic recovery stories for the very reasons we're talking about in this video. We go at great pains to show the journey. It is different for different people. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another person. What works at one stage of recovery may be the blocker at the next stage of the recovery. Healing is possible, but it's a complex journey. We need a personalized approach. We need an evidence-based approach. We need an integrative approach. And over time, it is possible for many people to make significant progress on their healing journey. And we here at the Optimum Health Clinic, but also we in the wider industry working in integrative medicine, we're all learning new things all of the time. In fact, I think back to some of my early patients 20 years ago and how much more we know now than we knew then. And that's how it should be. Things should be evolving. They should be moving forwards. And so equally, if you've become disillusioned having tried miracle recovery things that haven't worked, it doesn't mean there aren't answers. Remember, there's not one answer, there are many answers. If you'd like to find out more about how we work with complex fatigue-related conditions here at the Optimum Health Clinic, the best way to do so is to book a free discovery call. And in that discovery call, we will map your case and we'll look at how we could apply the OHC approach to support your journey to recovery. Hope that's been helpful. Thank you for watching.